Well, next, standing in for Ayre and Michael, Paul Weatherall joins us, of course, LibVan party, and we talked a few weeks ago, and now you've made a decision. So that's now going to be a contest anyway, which I think is important, isn't it?
Yeah, there's 4 of us for 2 places at the moment, anticipating there may be more candidates putting the names forward, but we'll see.
Okay, what's made you do it?
I've been thinking about standing for some time. I've been involved in politics most of my life. I stood for the UK Parliament back in 1979, so I've been resting since then. And with the elections coming up, I've been not necessarily critical of government, but I've got things to say about the way our government operates, and I thought I should put my money where my mouth is.
Well, you're chairman, aren't you, of LibVan? Right?
I'm chairman of LibVan, yeah.
Does that add any extra things to this whole thing? I mean, you've got your policies set and that sort of thing?
Laurie and Michael and I and other candidates that we've still to announce working in the background on our manifesto, joint manifesto, but we've got our own individual views on what we want to put forward.
Do you think it's going to be a breakthrough for your party, though, on this time? What's the feeling there?
It's not so much a breakthrough, it's getting back to where we were at the last election with hopefully the same number of MHKs at least as we had last time. Okay. So not a breakthrough as it would be for, say, Isle of Man Green Party or Manx Labour. But
you don't think you'll have enough members, if you get all got in, for instance, to actually make a, run the whole government?
We won't have 24 candidates, and we won't have 24 MHKs
12,
or even 12. Right. Yes, so no, we're not in a position where we're putting forward a programme for government and expecting to be able to deliver that without any opposition.
Well, you have your policies, and I always try to make it very clear because it makes sure it's no confusion. You go in with those agreed policies from your party,
that's right? Yeah.
And you cannot move around on that at all.
Well, we've got some flexibility. We've got our individual ways of maybe interpreting them, but the broad principle is the same. And what's important in Ayre and Michael, for instance, isn't necessarily exactly the same as what's important in Douglas or Ramsey.
So you're door knocking, and what are you saying? What's your thing you're saying to these people, especially in your area?
Yeah.
What's the big?
Well, the main thing at the moment is I'm introducing myself and letting them know that I'm actually standing. A lot of people, don't know me, so that's the first step. I'm explaining that I'm standing for Liberal Vannin and what our core policies are. The thing that's coming up most on the doorstep is housing, especially for first-time buyers. A lot of people mentioning that as being a difficulty for. It's mainly parents concerned about their children.
That's
young adult children.
Yeah. That is island-wide, and also there's what solution have you got one? Good luck, because everyone else has been talking about this. But what can you say to them? I mean,
well, our policy is that we need to build more low-cost housing, both for first-time buyers and for social housing for rent. And also we believe that the first-time buyer scheme that the government's operating at the moment isn't strong enough, isn't adequate enough, so we would like to beef that up. And perhaps go down the Jersey route of restricting what people can do with properties that they've bought through first-time buyer schemes.
Is that a policy of LibVan?
It's what we're working on now.
The open and closed markets.
Our main policy on housing is that it should be affordable, sustainable and suitable, and there are many ways of achieving that, but the biggest problem at the moment is for many people it's not affordable, so that's where we need to look at. And
I mean that is local, but it's also national for the Isle of Man. What would be the policy for the Isle of Man you're very strong on? Anything particular?
Well, it's jobs, jobs to protect people who've suffered over the last 12 or 18 months and help them build back. So helping businesses recover from COVID would be one main thing that we would like to see from the incoming government. And obviously attracting more investment and more companies being based here that are going to provide employment in the future. So two-pronged approach. We need to help existing businesses recover and try our best to attract new businesses into the island.
So if you get in, if a few others get in, do you see yourself making that sort of commitment to be, I was going to say opposing the government, or just checking on what they're doing and that sort of thing? Or would you take part in government?
it depends on the mix when all the elections are over and who's going to be in Tynwald. So we would be discussing with other people, programme for government, who may or may not be Chief Minister, but there's no point in speculating about that at the moment because we don't know who will get elected, how many Liberal van in MHKs there'll be, how many from Manx Labour, how many from Isle of Man Green, and how many of the returning MHKs.
How would you fit into government? Where would you be the best fit in your eyes?
I don't think I have a view on that at the moment. As I say, it's too early to speculate. You
must have some strong points there. You must think, well, that's more me than that. I mean, you know.
Well, the SC, education, environment, I'm keen on both of those. But I would, I've got a broad interest in all of government. I wouldn't restrict myself to a particular department, but I'm not looking at this stage to serve in a department. I'm looking at this stage to become an MHK and serve the constituents of Ayre and Michael.
Yeah, but I'm asking everyone because obviously I think everyone has an idea where you fit the best. Who do you see as a good Chief Minister? I mean, imagine you got in, you'd be having the vote there. Would you be voting individually, or would you be voting for as a party?
We discuss it as a party and see what we felt was in the best interests of Liberal Vannin, and again, it depends on the mix. There's no point speculating at the moment. People whose names are being put forward may not get elected. In an ideal world, our leader, Laurie Hooper, I would be promoting him for Chief Minister, but whether that's a possible scenario depends on who gets elected.
And I think we talked to us in the chat show slightly about, would you see yourself forming a sort of group to you, Greens, Labour, depending on what the mix is?
I think we've got enough policy ideas in common that would be a likely outcome, but again, it depends on how many get elected from all three parties at the end of the day. There are a number of independents who we have a lot in common with as well.
Another question I have to put to all of you guys is, if it doesn't work out, and has been a track record of your party, people not signing up after all, getting on board, then having a disagreement. I don't make it more than that, but how do you stand on that? Would you? Well, how do you feel personally if you couldn't continue?
Yeah, I haven't been involved when the previous disagreements happened and people like Julie Edge decided to resign from the party, so I can't comment on the reasons why she did and why.
Okay, but I'm asking you.
But I can't see a scenario where I would feel I would want to resign from.
Well, it's happened more than once, actually, hasn't it? With
and if I did, I would seek a by-election.
This is the thing. So you would.
I think it's important. Yes. If you get elected on a party ticket, then it's dishonest to the voters to then say, well, I'm no longer believing in what that party stands for, and I'm no longer in that party. I think I would resign as an MHK and seek to put myself before the voters again, but I can't see that happening.
And you touched on you stood in the UK as an MP and all that sort of thing. So did you come for the Isle of Man to have a quiet life and realise you need to have political...
It's a long time since I was an agent in the election after that, and I then got involved in local authorities at a fairly high level as an officer, so I restricted my political activity at that point. So no, I'm happily in the Isle of Man since 1997, 25 years roundabout. So I have no, I'm not trying to introduce UK politics into the island. I just think that we would be better governed if more people stood under a party banner.
And, we're looking forward to all sorts of changes coming up. Do you think the government, the ones going out now, has been up to it? I mean, how critical are you of what you've seen over the last 5 years?
Yeah, I think that they've had a difficult situation to deal with, more than difficult, unprecedented with the COVID pandemic, and by and large I think they've dealt with that admirably. There's been a few mistakes. I think criticism of government is on a broader front in terms of being open and transparent about what they're doing, how they make decisions, why they're making decisions, and communicating that easily to people. They seem to have a bit of a problem with that right across Comin and the ministries, the departments. Competence as well. I think people would question the competence in the Department of Infrastructure in terms of the way they manage projects.
Okay.
So
just to finish very quickly, full-time job, this will be it, nothing else?
Yeah, I'm retired at the moment. I worked for Manx National Heritage in my last job. I've been retired from there 4 or 5 years. So yes, it would be a full-time job as MHK.